Flash contains some movie clip objects with built-in special features called components. And I'm going to go to the Windows menu and bring up the Components panel. And you can see here that we have a whole bunch of user interface components, buttons, checkboxes, combo boxes, radio buttons, and so forth. And we'll look at more of these much later on in the semester. But I want to point out the combo boxes. It's really useful in working with switch structures or even if-else-if structures. So all I'm going to do is choose the combo box and drag it onto my stage. And when I do that, it's going to place in my library the combo box control and a bunch of assets for it. And you'll also see a list come in as well, because the list is part of this combo box. And in the properties, I'm going to just stretch this out a little bit. So I've got it selected and I've got it unlocked as far as width and height proportional. I'm just going to drag the width over a little bit. You'll also notice that there are basically collections in this components window. So there's also some components for working with video. So play buttons, mute buttons, and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and just close that little panel. Let's focus in on the combo box. So in the properties for that combo box, we now have component parameters. And the first one is data provider. So I'm going to click on data provider and it brings up a values dialog box for me. And I'm going to click this plus sign. And we're going to enter some flavors for pies. So with each item in the combo box that we're going to add in, we have a label, that's what the user is going to see, and we have a data item, which we could refer to in programming code. They may or may not be the same. So for label here, I'm simply going to put Apple. And for data, I'm going to put Apple. I'm going to make it all lowercase. And then I'm going to add another item. So I'm going to click the plus sign. This one's going to be banana cream. And my data, I'll just leave it at banana. We'll do one more. This one's going to be cherry. My data will be cherry. This one will be lemon meringue. And my data will simply be lemon. And the last one here is going to be pumpkin. And my data is pumpkin. Now if I just run this, you'll see we have our combo box, and I can click the drop down list and there's my items. If I choose one, it shows up here. But we also want to then write some code that takes whatever we've chosen and do something with it. So I'm going to add another layer. I'm going to call this Actions. I'm going to lock that layer, and let's go to the actions for that. But before I do that, let's take our component box and give it an instance name so we can refer to it in code. I'm just going to name it pies_MC, since it is a movie clip. And then in our actions, we'll create an event listener for that movie clip. So we have pies_MC dot add event listener. We're just going to use an event for our movie clip that is going to be of type change. Where the user changes the item that's selected in that combo box. And I'll call our function getFlavor. You write that function. It's not going to return anything, so I'm going to have it return type of void. And we're going to use this E, which is the event parameters. I'm going to create a variable. I'll just call it myPie. It's going to be of type string. and we're going to have it equal E, and I want to get the target. That was the object that triggered the event, so it's going to be the ComboBox. And in that ComboBox we have a property called selected item, and that selected item has properties, and I could use either label or data. I'm going to use data. Actually, let's do something first to show you the different ways you can get information. Let's do label, and I'm just going to trace this. I'm going to trace my pi. Let's now change my pi equaling e dot target dot selected item dot data, and let's trace that. And let's do one more. My pi equals e dot target dot selected. This time I'm going to do the index, selected index. That's going to be the number. The very first item is index 0, the second one's index 1, and so forth. Since that's a number, I need to convert that to a string. And then we'll trace that. And let's also trace asterisk here that'll separate into the items. That way we can click on this multiple times. I should have had this in parentheses. Okay, so if I choose cherry, I see the label with a capital C, my data with the lower c, and I'm told that it's index number 2. It's the third item. Number 0, start counting with 0. 0, 1, 2. If I choose lemon meringue, I get the label, the data, and the item number. Now I can use any one of those three in a switch structure or if-else structure to do something with whatever they selected. So let's go back to our program, and I'm going to add in here a text box. This is going to be a dynamic text box. I'm going to call it output underscore txt. I'm going to embed my fonts. And now in our actions, I'm going to get rid of this code. I'm going to use just the label. Let's use the data. And I'm going to use the switch structure. And I'm going to look at the value of my pi. So we'll create our first case. It's going to be if it's apple. And if that is the case, I'm going to set my output underscore txt.text to the all-American choice apple pie. I'm going to put our break statement in. And then my next case was banana. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different here, and that is we can have multiple cases result in the same statements being triggered. So I'm going to come back and add in a chocolate, and a coconut. And we'll add those into our list box in a minute. But if any one of those are a match, let's have it say output underscore txt.text equals my favorite cream pie is, and I'm going to concatenate here on the next line. Let's get e.target.selected item. In this case, I'm going to get the label, because the label had Boston cream, or I'm sorry, banana cream. I will also put in coconut cream and chocolate cream. break statement. And the next case we had was cherry. And here our output will be, gotta have cherry pie on President's Day. I'm going to do our break. Another case, it's going to be lemon. Homemade, all from scratch. And then finally pumpkin. And we'll say we used the Pilgrim's original recipe for our pumpkin pie. I'm going to do a break on that one. And we'll go ahead and put in a default choice here. And if they choose something else, we're going to say we are out of that today. Now, there really is nothing else they can choose, but that'll be our default. Okay, so there's our switch case structure. Let's make sure there's no errors. So no compiler errors. I'm going to come back to my ComboBox. I'm going to go back into the data provider. I'm going to add in chocolate cream, and my data will be chocolate. And I can select that and move it up in the list. I want this alphabetical, so we'll put it just underneath cherry. And let's add one more. And that is our coconut cream. And my data will be coconut. And I'll move that up in the list. So it's just underneath chocolate. So there's our flavors. I'm going to click OK. Let's test this. So if I choose banana cream, I get typo for favorite, but my favorite cream pie is 4. So let's look at what went wrong there. I'm going to go to timeline, bring up our actions again. First of all, let's fix my typo there. And somehow I got a 4 in here. Let's get rid of that. And let's try this again. My favorite cream pie is banana cream. If I choose apple, the All-American Choice apple pie. Cherry. Got to have cherry pie on President's Day. Here's our chocolate cream, which is doing the same output as our banana cream, but we're using the label concatenated with my favorite cream pie is. We should get the same thing on coconut cream. Lemon meringue. And pumpkin. So that is how we can utilize and program a ComboBox component.